Have you ever felt that learning today has become more about repetition than understanding? In this episode of From Language and AI, Reading Wittgenstein, we ask, what does it mean to truly understand, and what happens when education forgets that meaning? In our last episode, we talked about the idea of NPCs, how language shapes the way we see others and ourselves. Today, in From Language and AI, Reading Wittgenstein, we turn to education, to ask what happens when learning becomes only repetition, without true understanding. Let's pause and think together.
Welcome back to this deep dive. Today, we're really going to slow things down a bit, step back from the usual flood of information, and look at something quite fundamental, I think, about how we learn.
Yeah.
Or maybe how we don't learn sometimes.
Right, how we think we're learning.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Our mission, really, is to understand this specific kind of failure in learning that moment when we mistake just, performing something, repeating it back, for actual genuine understanding.
Yeah.
In our last conversation, we talked quite a bit about language, didn't we? How words and phrases can sort of hollow out.
Lose their weight.
Yeah, lose their weight, their life. Things that used to mean a lot just become, mechanical through overuse.
Just sounds we make.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
So now we want to take that idea, that reflection on language losing its meaning, and apply it more directly to education, to learning itself.
Okay. And ask a question that I think gets right to the core of what real learning ought to be. What does it actually mean to learn but not understand? That's a crucial question.
Our goal today really is to equip you, the listener, to start noticing those moments, maybe in your work or your own learning, or just looking at the education system, when knowledge seems to get downgraded. It becomes just performance. The outside looks perfect, but the meaning inside, it's gone.
It's such an easy trap to fall into, isn't it? Because our systems, education included, they often end up rewarding ritual.
Ritual, how do you mean?
Well, we set up these processes, right? Memorize this, repeat that formula, follow these exact steps. And the student learns pretty quickly that success getting the grade, the certificate, it comes from being good at repeating.
Right, following the script.
Exactly. And the insidious part is that the repetition itself feels like learning. It really does. You start to think, okay, I can recite this accurately, so I must understand it.
Yeah, that makes sense. But that's where, drawing on our philosophical chats, we have to push a bit deeper, don't we?
Wittgenstein would kind of nudge us here and say, hold on, stop. Do you really get the whole picture, the framework that makes these facts or words actually powerful, or are you just reading the lines someone else wrote? That's the absolute critical distinction because, as we keep coming back to, meaning isn't some static thing hidden inside the word like a prize in a box.
Right. It's not buried treasure.
No. It lives somewhere much more dynamic.
Where does it live then?
Well, it lives in how we use words, doesn't it? In the context, in the connections we make to other things, to actual life.
So, meaning emerges from the application, from how concepts are woven into life itself.
That's the idea. And when we separate that living context, that dynamic application, from the process of just learning the steps, well, that's where the conflict arises.
Ah, okay. So you have learning on one side and understanding on the other, and they've become detached.
Precisely. The system might reward the performance, the repetition, but the real world, it needs insight, adaptability, things that repetition alone doesn't give you.
So what happens then? What are the actual real-world consequences when that split occurs? When the system rewards the perfect form, but the understanding needed to, say, diagnose something new or adapt just isn't there.
Well, I actually have a story about that from a friend. It illustrates this exact failure mode perfectly, I think.
Okay, let's hear it.
So this friend was getting some quite complex traditional Chinese medical treatment. And the doctor was very skilled using two common methods, but methods that are fundamentally opposite in their intention.
Okay.
It all depended on the specific diagnosis for that person on that day.
Right.
The first method was moxibustion. You might have heard of it. It involves burning specific dried herbs near the skin. The heat warms and stimulates energy flow.
Okay, I think I know what you mean.
Its medical purpose, its intent is to nourish, to replenish the body's energy where it's deficient. So it's fundamentally about giving energy to the system.
Giving. Got it.
Yeah.
And the second method?
The second was acupuncture, which most people know, using needles at strategic points. But its main intent, often, is to release blockages or drain excess energy that's causing trouble.
Ah, Okay.
So its purpose is generally about letting go or reducing something that's overwhelming the body.
So wait, you have these two things, moxibustion and acupuncture. They might look kind of similar from the outside, someone's doing something skilled to your body, but the underlying intention is completely opposite.
Diametrically opposed. One gives, the other releases, or lets go.
Wow. So the knowledge isn't just how to stick a needle in or burn an herb.
No.
It's knowing why you're choosing one over the other for this patient today.
Precisely. The doctor's skill is rooted entirely in that diagnosis, in understanding the intention needed. But my friend, well, unfortunately, he just couldn't grasp that crucial difference.
What did he focus on instead?
He looked at it all very externally, very transactionally, mostly through the lens of cost.
Economics.
Yeah. He figured, logically from his view, well, acupuncture clinics are cheaper and there are loads of them everywhere. He basically treated the physical act, the needle or the heat, like it was interchangeable, like a commodity.
So he just separated the action from the reason behind it.
Completely. He started just going to random, cheaper clinics for acupuncture, totally ignoring the original diagnosis and whether his body actually needed the nourishing effect or the releasing effect.
Oh dear. He was focused entirely on the form, the procedure, the price tag,
The visible bits.
and completely missed the meaning, the diagnosis.
The why.
Exactly. And the outcome, well, sadly, it was predictable. His original condition actually needed the nourishing action of moxibustion.
Right, the giving.
Yes. So by repeatedly getting random acupuncture treatments, which often aim to release, he actually made his underlying deficiency worse.
Wow. So he was following the form of treatment perfectly. He was getting treated, paying for it.
Rigorously.
But he was completely missing the medical meaning, the whole point that made the original treatment effective. That's it. He learned the what-get treatment, but not the why or the when.
That story, I mean, that paints a really stark picture, doesn't it, of maybe where our education system can sometimes go wrong.
I think so, yes.
We also tend to prioritize the form that's easy to measure, right? The grades, the test scores, the ability to repeat things back correctly.
The quantifiable stuff.
Yeah. But maybe without always pushing students hard enough to ask, what does this knowledge actually mean? When does it apply? When doesn't it apply?
That last part is crucial.
So we end up graduating people who are brilliant at playing the academic game, you know? They can follow the textbook steps perfectly.
Top marks.
Top marks. But maybe they lack that deeper contextual understanding that lets them diagnose a situation they haven't seen before or adapt an idea or innovate beyond the script.
And that inability to judge, to adapt outside the known steps, that's the core issue, I think. Repetition shows you know that something works, maybe. That's one level. But real understanding is knowing why it works, how it connects to everything else. And critically, like my friend missed, knowing when it's the wrong tool for the job, when not to apply it.
That distinction between knowing that and knowing why feels very important here.
It is.
And this actually brings us, I think, to a really powerful idea from our sources, specifically from Wittgenstein, that kind of challenges everything we assume about teaching and learning.
Okay, he suggested this. To understand a sentence is to understand a form of life. A form of life. That phrase sounds significant, maybe a bit abstract.
It does sound abstract, yeah. But if we unpack it, I think it really changes how we should view education's purpose.
So what does it mean, form of life?
Well, think about understanding even a simple sentence like, the company filed for bankruptcy.
Okay.
When you understand that, you're not just like decoding the dictionary definitions of company and bankruptcy.
Right. There's more going on.
Yeah. You're instantly plugging that sentence into a whole shared world, a whole form of life. You're tapping into the entire system of commerce, finance laws, history, social practices, expectations, all that invisible stuff that makes the words meaningful.
So the form of life is like the whole context, the shared background, the rules of the game, the customs that make language and actions make sense together.
Exactly. It's the collective backdrop.
Yeah.
The habits, the practices, the community agreements that gives meaning to what we say and do.
So if you teach someone, say, all the vocabulary of a lawyer, but you don't initiate them into the form of life of being a lawyer, how lawyers think, how they argue, interpret precedent, engage with the legal community,
right?
You haven't really made a lawyer. You've just made a talking dictionary, maybe.
A talking dictionary. I like that. So education's real job isn't just shoveling information from one head to another.
No, that transactional view is too limited.
It has to be more about inviting the student into a way of seeing the world initiating them into the culture, the mindset, the practices that make the information actually useful and meaningful.
Yes. It's about cultivating judgment within that form of life.
And when that core idea gets forgotten, when we just focus on the performance, the training, the repetition, without demanding that deep contextual understanding.
And education becomes mechanical. It loses its vitality, its life.
It becomes, as one source put it, like copying a text without actually understanding it.
Or like speaking words perfectly, but without really listening or grasping what those words do in the real world.
The machinery of learning is running, but the meaning, it's just absent.
The lights are on, but nobody's home, so to speak.
Yeah, exactly. So maybe true learning, the kind that builds real understanding, not just fragile repetition. Maybe it doesn't start with memorizing.
Where does it start, then?
Maybe it starts with a shift in attention.
Attention.
Yeah. Attention to the meaning behind the words. Attention to the context they live in. Attention to life itself, which is always changing and always needs that diagnosis, right? Like your friend needing either nourishment or release.
Moving from just knowing that something is the case to truly understanding why.
That feels like the journey. From knowing that to understanding why.
This has been From Language and AI reading Wittgenstein. Today, we explored what it means to learn without understanding.
If this reflection speaks to you, please share with a friend and subscribe so you won't miss our next conversation. Together, let's learn not just to know, but to understand. See you in the next deep dive.
Sometimes, we learn without really understanding. We repeat, we answer, yet the meaning slips quietly away. But perhaps, as Wittgenstein reminds us, understanding is not a possession. It's something we share in the way we live and listen. If this reflection speaks to you, share it with someone who's also searching. And subscribe so you won't miss our next step as we continue reading Wittgenstein together. This is From Language and AI reading Wittgenstein. See you in the next video.